Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Day Chats. I'm your host, Daisy Michelle. And before we start off the episode, I just wanted to take 2 seconds to say thank you so much for all the positive feedback on last week's episode. I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous to share half the things on that episode. I know Jules was probably a little nervous too. So I'm so glad that you all enjoyed it and even shared your own stories relating to it. It was so fun to hear what all of you had to say. If you ever have any topic suggestions or simply want to share your comments, questions, please check the link on the Day Chats Instagram. It's just at Day Chats. There you'll be able to find a link where you can submit your comments and questions. And of course, I tend to post interactive stories often, so there's plenty of opportunity to provide feedback. While you're there, please don't forget to rate the podcast and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you listen to. If you're enjoying the show, hopefully you leave a 5-star review with a nice comment review along with that. So today's episode, as you see the title, is do we actually miss our ex, or do we miss who we were when we were with those people? We will be psychoanalyzing ourselves and reflecting a little bit. We're going to walk through the stages of realizing if we actually truly miss our ex, or do we just miss who we were when we were with them? Today's episode is one that wasn't very planned. And by that, I say planned in the sense where I knew in advance that this was going to be the episode I was going to make. It wasn't until this week that I had an epiphany or a realization or whatever you want to call it. I had a moment. And it was in that moment that I realized I needed to talk about this. Like, this is what today's episode had to be about. And since this is basically a personal journal where I talk about anything and everything, I said, whatever, let's talk about it. So as mentioned, today's topic is one that hits deep home for me. It's like a weight lifted off my shoulders and truly made me feel like I was released from the shackles that I had locked myself in for some time now. And I know that sounds like I'm exaggerating, and perhaps I am exaggerating just a little bit, but just roll with me for a second. So before we start the story, let me set up the scene here for you, okay? It was the end of 2017. I was ready to start the new 2018 new year. And when I say the end of 2017, I literally mean like the last 3 days of 2017. Of course, this story is going to involve a man. Why else would we psychoanalyze ourselves if we didn't involve one? And for this story, let's call him Nico. Right after Nico and I met, we were practically inseparable. Yeah, we talked for a few months before we started being so close and hanging out all the time, but practically inseparable. Like I said, we did spend some days apart, but you get the point. Nico and I would spend about 4 to 5 days out of the week together, and each day we would literally be together for 12 or more hours. So needless to say, I would end up falling for him hard and fast. At that time, it felt like he was everything I wanted. And of course, I was infatuated by him. He was tall, he was handsome, he was really into fitness. So we would go to the gym at the same time. We would go to different ones, but we would go at the same time. And he was just very strong, super sweet, always really supportive when I needed him or when I needed to vent or rant about anything and everything. Most importantly, he genuinely made me laugh and made me happy. And it was equal when it came to going out and our finances, because in my previous relationship, I was the one to pay for everything. I was the one driving everywhere, paying for everything. So I was like, I'm not going to do that again. So I vowed that I would never let myself be in that position again. I like when a guy, wines and dines me. And then of course, once we're in a relationship, it's equal. I enjoyed that Nico was wining and dining me. Everything was just so effortless with Nico. And looking back, everything in my life felt like it was going great. I had just turned 21, and since my birthday is in the spring, the weather was absolutely beautiful. I remember I celebrated my birthday by going to my first bar, and then I celebrated with a party with my friends and family. And of course, obviously this was pre-COVID. Quick little side note, but I feel like COVID really just messed me up. Like I see movies or music videos or TV and I see people like congregating in big groups and I'm like, that's disgusting. Why are they so close together? Why are there so many people in one place at one time? And I think that mentality of like, there has to be a limited amount of people in a certain place will be with me for, I don't want to say forever, but quite some time. Let me know if you find yourself in that case too, because I truly can't even imagine life post-COVID and being in a place with like 100 people squishing together. But anyway, that's besides the point. So I was still at school at the time, and even though my school schedule was crazy, I mean, per usual, it felt somewhat manageable. I was on top of all my work. My internship was going great. My job was going great. So I don't know. I just think overall it felt like life was peachy. And of course, time went on and I fell for Nico and it just happened so effortlessly. Nico and I felt like we were meant to be together. I truly felt like I was living my best life. And it's so cliche to say, but whatever. And time goes on and the next thing I knew, it was almost a year and I think the honeymoon goggles started to come off or something because I started to see things in him and some inconsistencies that just didn't seem sweet anymore, or just that didn't seem like something that I wanted to allow anymore. And yet again, even with those things that I saw with my own two eyes, I still stayed with him. And I'm telling you, I joke about dumb bitchitis sometimes, but I honestly get a severe case. It happens, we live and we learn. So anyway, let's move on. I'll get into more what I saw in just a moment. And I just ask, don't judge me. I'm sure we've all been there. And if you haven't been there, then you can just take pride in knowing that you haven't been a dumb bitch. So let's go on. So like I said, don't judge me too hard, but hear me out. After all the time together that we spent, we were technically never official. He had never asked me to be his girlfriend. Say what you want about titles, but in my personal opinion, they are important when you're dating someone. I want to know that you're committed to me and the relationship we're building. And I'm not saying that a title automatically declares what I mentioned above, but it sets a clear delineation about someone's intentions and where the relationship is going and the boundaries that you will set together. Because if you're not in a relationship, then you can't really be mad if someone's talking to someone else, because you guys aren't officially together. Whereas if you are in a relationship, then you have every right to be upset if the person is cheating on you. So for that reason, if I'm spending my time with somebody, I want to know that we are either in a relationship or we're not. I want to know where our boundaries are. Like I said, after almost a year of not being in a committed relationship with him in the sense that it was official, I finally woke up one morning with enough courage at 4 a.m. and having the dreaded, what are we? Conversation. And I had been wanting to have this conversation for quite some time now, for months. But I was so scared of what I had a feeling he was going to say that I just wanted to continue living in this fantasy world or fantasy land and continue being in the relationship that we did have, because I didn't want to lose what we had. Even though I knew I deserved better, even though I knew deep down in me, I just knew what he was going to say. So that's why I basically never asked him until that one day. So let me tell you how that even all went down. When I tell you his response left me dumbfounded, I am not even kidding. Even though I knew that he was going to say some bullshit like that, I was still holding on to the hope that he would tell me that he wanted to be in a relationship. But no, he didn't. So after he gave me his response, I really had no choice but to pick up whatever dignity I had left and finally cut him off. So after him telling his family about me, him meeting my parents, both of us going on these somewhat lavish trips, extravagant birthday gifts for each other where we went all out for each other, And literally spending nearly all our time together, he said, brace yourselves for this. He said, I thought we were just having fun. Yes, shocked, dumbfounded. I was baffled. So, like I said, it was time to move on. So if this has ever happened to you, please write in your story. Let me know so I don't feel so alone on this, because I just felt so stupid. I literally felt so stupid. I was giving up myself. I was giving so much of myself up to him and opening my heart to him. And I wouldn't say I was in love with him. I genuinely, even at that point, I would not say I was in love with him. But I think I was starting to get to that point, because I remember one time when we were, doing the deed, we were looking in each other's eyes, and I wanted to say the 3 words so bad. Like, it almost slipped right out of my mouth. And obviously I'm really glad it didn't. And I definitely think if I would have stayed in that situationship, relationship, or entanglement, whatever you want to call it, I think I would have definitely developed feelings to say that I loved him, and even saying that now out loud is just so weird, but you get the point. So when he told me that he thought we were just having fun, I was livid. I was so confused. I was shocked. Honestly, I wouldn't say I was surprised. Like I said, a part in me already knew that he was going to say some bullshit like that, but I was still all of the above. Livid, confused, shocked. It was almost kind of comical in a way. It was a clear case of him wanting to treat me like a girlfriend without actually wanting the title of it. And when I tell you that he's the one who treated me like a girlfriend, I mean, obviously, yes, I treated him like a boyfriend too, but he was the one. He would drive out to me all the time. He would take me anywhere I wanted. We would, he would call me every day, check in. I think that I had more of a relationship of a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship with him than I did with my ex, who I was with for quite a long time. That was actually my boyfriend. So it was just almost a slap in the face for him to say that he somehow considered us being in a basically full-out relationship and considering it as having fun. The situation sucked. It sucked, and it's what I consider an entanglement, and it was so emotionally draining. So not only did I have to grieve a regular loss of a breakup, but I also had the insanity and embarrassment of having this man tell me that he thought we were just having fun. I was so confused, and honestly, I just suddenly caught myself questioning our entire relationship or entanglement or situationship, whatever you want to call it, whatever that thing is for you, or however you would classify that. I just found asking myself, what the heck, dude? Why was I not good enough? Why was I not good enough for you to want to commit to me? Because we basically were committed to each other, but we were missing that last step. So what was it that just wasn't it? Wasn't there for you? So, and to circle back quickly to letting you know some of the things that I saw, well, obviously it was his response that he told me that we were just having fun, and that was a slap in the face. But even before that, I had seen his phone, and he really did delete Tinder for quite some time. But after many months of us being together, it was probably a month or 2 before we had this conversation about the what are we conversation, I saw that he had a message from Tinder. So at some point he had downloaded that again. So at that point, when I started to see inconsistencies in him, is when I saw that he was back on Tinder. Is it a coincidence? I think not. So I mean, yeah, you could say that I was dumb for staying with him anyway, but like I said, I was just so infatuated by him, and I really wanted to be with him. I really wanted to make it work. And just the whole situation was just a shitty one, to say the least. It definitely took some time and a lot of embarrassing attempts to try to get over him. I mean, when I tell you embarrassing, I mean embarrassing. Even after we, quote, broke up, we didn't stop seeing each other. I mean, we would still hook up even after that. And I had never been a drunk texter before until after we broke up. I would catch myself sometimes texting him, and it's just, it's so embarrassing. But you know, I finally had gotten to the point where I thought I no longer cared about him. I thought I no longer even thought about him. And I was finally able to date other people without comparing them to him. Because prior to that, I was, still going out with other people. But somehow I always found myself comparing them to Nico. And no matter how hard I tried, I could never fully shake off the feeling I had for him. It felt like I was over him at a 98.9%, but that last 1% just did not leave me alone. I could move on and date otherwise with no issues, but I caught myself thinking of that time period on occasions. And even not too long ago, I felt defeated. And I remember specifically saying, I will never be truly happy until I get over Nico completely. And I was having that conversation with my cousin, and I told her, like, I need to be able to finally get over him. It's been a while now, so I don't understand why I still feel so connected to him, even though, like, a big part of me knows that I don't really have feelings for him anymore. Like, there's nothing there for me to hold on to feelings wise. So I need to be able to let go of him. But even saying that made me feel like there was something wrong with me. And it wasn't a sense of like, what's wrong with me? Like, why didn't you pick me? It was, what's wrong with me? Why am I still feeling like I want him back? Like, why? I don't understand. I could never understand why I felt like I wanted him back so bad when I knew that at this point, deep down in me, there was nothing there left for him. And looking back now, he literally gave me just above the bare minimum. Yeah, he was a nice guy, but since dating him, I've now seen much more of a relationship someone is wanting to give when they value you with other men than I did with Nico. And as always, after going through some personal growth and development, because I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. I've grown and I've developed a lot as a person and what I want in a relationship, but even then, I was still puzzled why I felt like I wanted him back. Especially, like I said, since I didn't feel anything for him anymore. It's almost as if I was stuck on a memory, but even then, the memory of him specifically didn't excite me like before. And I don't mean that in like a weird way. I just mean like it didn't like cause butterflies in my stomach anymore. So if I no longer felt the same for him, why did my heart and mind tell me that I wanted him back? That was something that I questioned forever. And normally I would just push those thoughts aside. But on this day, I decided to actually meditate. Why the hell did I feel that way? I knew deep down that I was over him and that I deserved so much better. So I knew it wasn't because I had lingering feelings for him. I was very clear on that. I was able to establish that what I'm feeling is not a feeling for him, because there are no emotions left for him. So I'm like, okay, well, if it's not an emotion that I'm trying to hold on to, then what is it? I started to reflect more. Okay, so what about 2018 as a whole? Because even my 2018 Spotify playlist, I play that on repeat because it's just a nostalgic feeling for me. So with those two things, I'm like, okay, if I play my 2018 playlist all the time and I know it's not Nico, like the feelings of Nico that are holding me back, then what is it? So for once in the past couple years, I actually work through my emotions and my thoughts rather than pushing them down. Because like I said, I'm the type of person to push my feelings down until no one can see them. But when I actually thought about it, looking back, I remembered the key points of my 2018. 2018 was a time when I was surrounded by super fun and exciting events. Like I turned 21, so I was going out with my friends all the time and experiencing the bar life, which don't get me wrong, it is so fun. I was doing really well academically, and I even got the highest GPA. I want to say that was the highest GPA I got all throughout my time in college. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I was working out very often. Like I said, Nico's really into like working out for himself, and he never forced me to work out with him, but it just felt natural to go with him. And it was something that like we started to bond over. So health-wise, like I was the slimmest I had been in a while, and like I felt very confident in myself because of that. And of course, Nico made me pretty happy. But aside from Nico, my entire life felt like it was going pretty well overall. And when I finally put all those points together, it finally hit me. I promise you, I'm not exaggerating when I say that the epiphany hit me like a truck. I always joke around, well, not really joke around because I actually do this, but I always pray to God asking for signs. But I ask God to give me signs that will smack me across the face. Because if he sends me a subtle sign or something ambiguous, I will ignore them. Because I just don't want to pay attention to a sign if I feel like it's not going to benefit me. You know, it's kind of like I am DW from Arthur when she sees that there's a sign on the door and she says, "This sign can't stop me because I can't read." That is literally me. I need a sign that's going to smack me across the face. And suddenly I felt like I finally got my side and my answers all in one. The Lord said, "Girl, it is your time to shine. Here you go. Your prayers have been answered. Now shut up and go get to work." So after so many prayers of asking why I still thought about him and praying why I am praying that I could finally move on, the time had finally come. And before some of you click out, no, I'm not saying that you need a religious entity to make you feel like you've received an answer. It could very well be that simply working through my thoughts and emotions, I was able to come through like a logical conclusion. Since, like I said, I normally just shove all my emotions and thoughts down and I never look at them again. So that very well could be the answer, you know? But, you know, since I do believe in God, I would credit to the man up above for this epiphany and myself, you know, for actually working through this because, you know, health and wellness, we're trying to get better this year. But yes, making this realization was liberating. And I'm not even kidding. The second I was able to make that connection, it felt like the shackles had finally been unlocked. Like I finally had the answers that I had been looking for so long. I realized that this whole time I didn't miss Nico. It was never about Nico. It was about who I was during that time. Yes, Nico contributed to a lot of my happiness, but looking back, I created a lot of the happiness on my own. He wasn't the reason why I was happy, or he wasn't the only reason why I was happy. So when I finally was able to remove Nico as the source of happiness of my 2018, I was finally able to see that it was me that I was missing. I miss being able to be that confident in myself. I miss being genuinely happy, and I miss feeling like I had some kind of control in my life. I was trying too hard to go back to feeling how I did back then, but like I said, I was attributing all of that to Nico when in reality, it was me that I was missing. So where does that leave me now? I think that's the next biggest question is, where do I go from here? What do I have to do? Like, what work do I have to put in? And well, at least now I know what to strive for. I know that I want to work to be happy, genuinely, and confident in myself without needing the approval or attention of someone else. And I know that I want to strive to feel the best in myself and be the best version of myself. And so do I know how I'm going to get there? No, honestly, I don't. But that's a journey that I am willing to go on, and a journey that I'm going to, you know, start developing. And coincidentally, I saw a TikTok today from the user Cherry Emoji Girl that put everything in perspective. And I did write this down, so, you know, I didn't want to miss it too much. But she said, there are two ways you can choose to live your life. You can live a goal-based life or a value-based life. Goals are concrete, like I want to lose 20 pounds, whereas values are more abstract. It's more like I want to be compassionate. I want to be kind to people that I don't know. When you live a goal-based life, you will always be miserable because you are continuously reaching for goals that you sometimes can't achieve. And you're constantly postponing your own happiness by saying, when I reach this, I'll be happy. When I accomplish that, I'll be successful. You're never going to be living in the moment. Whereas if you're living a value-based life, you're living in the present and bettering yourself as a person. And you guys, when I saw that video, it reminded me of that realization I had, because I had that sometime in the middle of this week. And I saw this video today. So it just, if anything, it just confirmed that it was a good idea to talk about this. And it was a good idea to be able to actually go through the emotions and go through the thought processes that I went through, because that's ultimately what this psychoanalyzation really is like showing you how I actually, like what my thought process was basically for all of this. So this is where I'm at. Rather than focusing so hard on every detail and overthinking everything as I normally do, I'm going to try to focus on the big picture. Like I said, I know I want to go back to being confident and genuinely happy with myself and who I am. So I'm going to do the things that I need to do in order to do that. I know there's certain things that make me feel better. For instance, I know when I stop drinking enough water, I start to feel sluggish and I just don't feel great. So I know that I need to be drinking water consistently to stay hydrated in order to at least make myself feel energized and feel good. Because when I tell you, I know it sounds so simple, like, yeah, obviously drink your water, but when I personally don't drink enough water, I start feeling tired in the middle of the day for no reason. But when I do drink enough water, I am able to get through my work day or just a regular day without feeling so like sluggish or lethargic. I also know when I get off track taking my birth control, I start to feel all kinds of messed up depending on how many days I forget to take it because of, the hormones and everything. So I'm not going to put myself on a timeline or set a specific goal for myself, because knowing myself, if I say I want to do something and then for whatever reason I don't attain it, I'm going to feel discouraged. So it'll just defeat the purpose of my intention. So like I said, I'm going to focus on the big picture and do things that make me feel good. Recently, I started journaling. I don't do it every day, but I do it a few times a week. And I've found that I really do enjoy it and notice it's helped me gather my thoughts more. And honestly, this podcast has also really been helping me gathering my thoughts and being able to talk about certain things. And as an overthinker, it's nice to finally have an outlet that's helped me manage my own mind, because girl, let me tell you, I can create and react to a whole made up scenario on the spot. And now that I think about it, I feel like it would be a good episode on its own, because one of my friends gave me a really good tip to try to help with the overthinking. And I think you guys might enjoy it if you are an overthinker too. So I'll save that for the future. And I'm sure some days I'll have good days and other days I'll feel like there's no point, but it's okay. I hope that if you find yourself in my shoes, then you can join me on this mini journey. And if you guys want updates along this journey, how it's going, I would love to provide that, so we can go on this together and it doesn't feel like we're alone on this. So that's where I am now, working to truly be the best version of myself and actually be happy with who I am. And that's not to say that I'm not happy with myself, but I just know that I could be in a better place. So yeah, that's where I am. There's not a concrete solution there's not a concrete definitive answer. It's more of the start of a journey. And like I said, if you find yourself in these shoes as well, then maybe you can join me and we can do it together. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes today's psychoanalyzation of, are you really over your ex, or do you just miss who you were when you were with them? Thank you so much for listening to this episode, you guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please check out the link on Daychat's Instagram bio. You're able to provide all that information there. And I love being able to hear your stories, so that's a perfect place to go in there as well. Until next time, embrace the day.